So I made an X Auto DM bot, and I'm gonna walk you through how it works so you can understand how automations like these work. And I have the browser open up right now showing you just what it's doing, but you actually don't even need to have the browser open, and this can just run completely in the background doing its thing to send targeted cold DMs to people who I believe I can help. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this just running here in the background while I explain this code. But so this is the main function right here, and in here we enter in username, password, and here are all the keywords of the accounts of excuse me. Here are all the keywords that we are looking for in the accounts that we want to DM. So we'll only DM people that have one of these keywords in their name. And then here are the starting profiles of where we kind of start looking for data in the following and followers, as you can see it's doing right here. Whenever we run out of people to DM with these keywords. And how it works is it goes on forever and ever because, well, as long as there's people with these keywords, it will just go to their profile and then just continue scraping and just basically doing it for forever. So yeah, as you can see now, it's going to Alan Duvel because it went through everyone in this list. So, and there's tons of data and that kind of stuff. So next up, this we initialize the repository. So this is kind of where the data sits. Like this is where all the data operations sit. Like we create the database with all of the user information because we don't want to DM the same person twice. We want to be able to get the next person to scrape by looking at their bio and all that kind of stuff. I'll just show you one of those functions. So get next user to scrape. So this is a function right here. We can do find first unscraped user, and what this does is keyword conditions. It just checks to see if in all of these keywords, if it contains the keywords and it wasn't scraped yet, it returns that user, and then we go to that username to do it. And yeah, so then there's these X actions. This is responsible for all the browser operations, and we use a library called Selenium, which is used to kind of just test software. That's like that was like the main purpose was create it, but you can use it to do just actions on a browser. As you can see, you can just tell it to do things by in the inspect here, you can tell it to be doing things by looking at the X paths of things and then clicking things based on the X paths of certain elements. So like let's say what I'm doing right here is the container that has all of these followers in it. I'm clicking on that, scrolling down, and then also just gathering all the text from each of these items with Selenium. And this Selenium utils function is exactly what does all that stuff. But before we actually go to the scraping, we gotta log in. And how the logging in works is we go to the x.com, we go to the I'll go back to this in a second. We go to the login page, we enter the username and password, and we save the cookies file. So if you're not aware, the cookies files, it just stores the data that lets you that makes it so you don't have to log in every time you use X. So whenever you go to x.com, most of the time you don't have to log in because your auth token and all your data that is required to sign you in is in the cookies file. So we save that cookies file and then next time we try to log in, we go and use that existing cookies file so that it's more secure. You don't get there was a login attempt on your account message in your notifications, which you get once just by using this, but it's just you don't want to do anything sketchy by continually logging in and getting that message. Whereas with this auth token, it emulates a virtual assistant perfectly, and it's possible to tell that an automation script that would normally be a job of a VA's job is just doing all this stuff automatically, which is pretty cool. Now back to this, we just go to see, we just go through this loop while the message is sent today is less than 450, we find the next user to scrape, and the scraping queue is initially this, so we go and look for that. If that's not empty, then we find the first unscraped user, where I covered this briefly. We find the one of the users who has a keyword in their bio or username, and inscraped is false. We have that right there, and then we find the users to DM, and we get that by scraping that username. And what happens is we go to x.com/verified followers, and this only does the verified followers for right now, because the verified accounts are the ones who have extra income to invest, and they're going to be more active on the platform. So my thought process, and yours too, should be might as well target the verified accounts. It also depends on what you're selling, and what you offer. But that's just a quick side note. But we actually, this gathers all the users in there and scrolls down. As you can see right here, it's scrolling down, gathering all the users, and then returning the gathered verified. Okay, now what we do is we want to set the current account that we scraped to scrape, so we don't scrape it again and again and again. So we keep going to the next one, and then for each of the users that we got in users to DM, we want to check if we should DM the user. And to check if we should DM the user, we go, we want to see if there's an existing user. We want to get that user first, because sometimes we need to create a new user in the database if it's like the first time we were discovering that account. So we look for the existing user. If it doesn't exist, then we just upload this one to the database, and then we check if it was sent a DM. And if it was sent a DM, obviously we don't want to see it DM them, so should DM returns false. Next, we check to see if there's no keywords that we're looking for. So if this is just empty, for example, like this keywords is just empty, you just want to DM everybody, then yeah, it will just return true. Next, we check the bio for the keywords and that stuff, if there are any, and how this works, we check to see this part of the code. Basically, it returns true if it returns any of the keywords, and returns false if it doesn't contain any of the keywords. Okay, so yeah, I try to keep this right here is very simple, but then when you go deeper in, it's more complex. But the surface level code here from the main.py is really easy to understand. When you go deeper into it, that's when it can get a little bit confusing, especially if you don't have a software engineering background like myself. But I think it's pretty. I try to make this easy to understand, at least from this point forward. So now, once we know if we should DM the user, we're going to try to DM that user. So we go to their account, and we also get the following and followers information, because might as well, that might be helpful. And this is also just how this spot is for right now at this moment in time. I'm sure that I'm gonna add more features to it. It's just like the basic video I'm just uploading, because I know this will still be valuable and cool. If you're listening to this, you're watching it, you're interested in how this works, I'm sure this will just be helpful for you understanding how this works, because it's super powerful stuff. But we look for the message button, and if there's a message button there, we click it. If it's not there, that means we can't DM the user, so save it in the database that we can't DM them, so we don't just go back to their account again later to try to DM them when we can't. Or maybe there's also room for future automations of going to that account and kind of engaging with them a little bit, or just like notifying you to see if you want to engage with them, add them to your list, your prospect list to do it. So it DMs it if it can message. It this is like true if it messages, and false if it doesn't message. And then we want to just save that data in the database to keep track of everything right there. And that's about how this works. It just will keep looping through here again, following the same process and continuing sending DMs. I'm going to quickly go through just all the code here. So it starts off, this is the main. Here's the repository. there's lots and lots of code in here. And here is the Selenium utils where everything is with Selenium. And these are like the X paths of the login and password inputs. Let's see, and then, oh yeah, here is the DMs to send. This is where you actually can put the DMs and add this is a parameter to customize the name. The name right now is just, it takes let me see where here. It takes, okay, what it should do is it takes name. The name, okay. Excuse me. It takes the name. So here's the name. It takes the username, and then we actually try to just send it to the first name. So normally the name, you can kind of like, if you just picture it, you just take the first thing, like you split it. If you split it by the spaces, the name, then just take the first one in there. Typically that's the first name. So that is exactly what this does, and this should probably also uppercase the first letter. So you can do that by making this a string and upper. There we go. And doing that. Okay. Now finally this user function. This is kind of what the database uses. The database stores these types of objects in the database. So yeah, that's exactly how that works. This is a lot of code. Hope this was helpful. Hope this was insightful, because not many people talk about how this stuff works, and the implications. Because pretty much anything can be automated with this. I mean, you see how crazy comprehensive this is. What this is. It's just any kind of manual action that you're doing manually, you can program into a system like this right here. And if you want help with that, you can check out the description and just get in contact with me, and can help you with that. And anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope this was helpful. Have a great rest of your day.